Kim Coghill with ACA International in the Washington, D.C. office. ACA is the leading voice for the accounts receivable management industry. In today's episode of ACA Cast, we'll discuss finding, recruiting, nurturing, and retaining a quality workforce with Courtney Fleming, the Chief Personnel Officer at Wilbur & Associates. And today our host is going to be Harry Strausser III, a well-known industry veteran who currently serves as ACA's Education Director. So, Harry, I'll turn it over to you now.
Well, thanks, Kim. Appreciate everyone joining us. And I have to tell you that in the 30 years that I was an active trainer, one of the most common discussions we had in management seminars was the topic we have today. How do you find people? How do you get them trained? How do you keep them and retain them once they're in your company? Because we've experienced a lot of turnover in the collection industry. I'm really happy to have with us one of our star certified instructors, Courtney Fleming. Her position in her company is directly in line with being an expert on this topic. This particular program was offered at the Fall Forum in November. We thought it was a great opportunity to continue with this important topic. So, Courtney, let me just get it kicked off by asking a question. Do you have any outside-the-box ideas relative to your recruiting department in order to find new candidates for your company?
Yes, and I think that when we think of outside of the box, sometimes you can actually think of ideas that you're using, but utilize them in a different way. So internal referrals is not an outside-of-the-box idea, but training your internal employees to properly recruit for you can be one of those outside-of-the-box ideas. Our recruiting department actually decided to create videos providing some guidance on how to answer small talk questions. The holidays were coming up, and that's a great time to make sure that our employees knew how to properly market in these variety of social settings. They were going to social parties, social gatherings, so what better way than to equip our own employees with how to appropriately respond. There are questions in these settings where, what is your culture like? Where do you work at? What do you do? What is a typical day like? How would you describe your company's growth? These are all typical questions we encounter when we're speaking with others, so we wanted to make sure our team members were able to answer these questions and have key phrases that they can go to help attract talent to our office. We also did another push dealing with outside-of-the-box ideas when we were looking for a bilingual collector. This was a really great idea because possibly we thought, why were we not getting the bilingual applicants for our roles? And maybe there were some obstacles. So we actually had a social media push where we had our own bilingual collectors talk about their own stories, how their career had been here, and what some of the skills are that they gained. And then another outside of the box is something to physically have your team members pass out. We could not make business cards for everybody with their name on them. We have over 180 employees, and that would not be feasible dealing with our budget. So outside of the box, we made just general business cards that had our email on it. So then they were able to pass out a business card from the place that they were working, even if they were the front desk employee, even if they worked in our mailroom. They had a card that they could pass out when they were talking about where they worked at and people asking them questions. We also handed out what we called a referral card. Now, when you're at a restaurant or you're at another business, someone could be giving you really great service. Maybe they're really attentive, or you witness them calming someone down. Maybe that person's order was wrong, and you think in the back of your mind that person could be really good for our company. But at a place of employment while they're working, at a busy time during lunch or during dinner, that's not really the best time to talk with someone about changing their roles. So we provided them with these referral cards, and on it had our logo. It was a little card that stood up like a little tent. You folded it in half, and it said in there, we feel like you had some qualities that might be a good fit for a role in our company. If you're interested in hearing more about our opportunity, to reach out to us. It was simply left on the table or was left on the counter after someone was checking out. So we really felt that that helped with a internal referral idea, but we really tried to think outside of the box of other ways that we can attract our candidates by equipping our employees with the appropriate responses to questions giving them ideas of how they can promote the company they work for, having a push toward a particular role, and then lastly, physically giving our team business cards and also that referral card so they could put it out there and maybe not have to verbally say anything, but still try to attract some candidates.
What's kind of interesting about your response, and you're doing recruiting in a company that's fairly large, 180 employees. We've got a lot of members that have 5 and 10 employees, so you're doing this quite often, and it's key to every company. I think the interesting thing for me in your response is that it really kind of comes back to basic communication. Get your message out there. Utilize the resources we have, the social media, but the bottom line is get out there and talk about the company you work for. When you talk about a recruiting process, everybody's got a process in their company. What steps are most important, in your opinion, in a recruiting process?
The communication, talking with people, and that's really the most important step we feel in our recruiting process. It's the experience of the candidate. It's not one single step such as a phone interview or what does our job posting say or how many follow-up phone calls or the type of person that we have following up in our recruiting department. It's not just one person or one step, but it's actually a paradigm shift to the other side. Thinking about that candidate and the experience that they are actually having while they're interacting with your company. When they apply online, do they get an auto-generated, impersonal response thanking them? Do they know how long until they're going to get an actual follow-up? What's the next step in the process? Do they know what the expectations are? Are they left just out there lingering, wondering where their application went? So that's talking about when they put the application in, what type of experience is that candidate having with your company? And then when they come to the office, is there a waiting area? Are they sitting on a couch? Are they brought something to actually drink? If there's employees walking by, we have it where individuals are put on calendar invites when we have individuals who will be interviewing with us. And the reason they're on those invites is so that they can walk by, so they can tell that person hi, making sure that the candidate feels welcome in our office. We want to communicate. We want to talk with that person. We want to let them know that they're welcome. So as we have people walking down and going through that waiting area, they're saying hi. Then once they go into the interview process, maybe that candidate feels a little different. It's not a matter of selling themselves. It's really the company trying to wow that candidate. We're trying to actually attract them. With the unemployment rates when they were going down, we need to be attracting them to come to us.
You make a really good point, Courtney, and I have to completely concur with you. In this environment we're in, it's not so much candidates selling themselves to us, but we have got to open a door and sell them in a variety of ways. And you just mentioned some great ways to do this, from the very inception of the ad in the paper or the ad on social media to the moment they walk in the door and the whole experience they have when they're there. And what you're really talking about, and you've mentioned it a couple times, is culture, company culture. And it's a big topic lately in our industry and lots of others. How can a company work to have a culture that will attract team members?
Yes, and that culture topic here, you're right on top of that. It seems to be that hot topic. When you think about attracting team members, you have to think about what do the candidates want. Think about what qualities your company has, and are you portraying them? Are you getting it out there? As far as are your internal employees appropriately talking with the community? Does the community know as far as all the extra perks that your company has? And also, as you're doing your job postings too. With our push, we worked really hard with our internal employees, making sure that they knew. Let's talk about how our office gives breakfast on Wednesday, Fridays. Let's talk with them about the charity, community, volunteer events we've been going to. Let's talk about those things. There's a quote that says, "A story untold moves no man to action." If a candidate doesn't know your company's story, if the community doesn't know the redeeming qualities that your company has, they're not going to be moved to come and see what opportunities that you have. So you have to think about what these candidates want. So I'm an avid reader. So there's a book called Talent Magnet that reviews this, and it talks about how to attract talent and then portraying it out there so that others know. Because we may be in our buildings and we have an awesome culture, we have this community that we are growing, but does anyone on the outside know? Are you telling your story? As the candidates are coming in, are you showing them that your leaders are working to develop your leaders? These candidates, maybe they're looking for a brighter future. Are you talking about the skills? Are you talking about the challenges and opportunities that can be given? Are you letting the candidates know about your bigger vision? Or are your candidates merely coming in, an anonymous individual from the community talking about what the role is? There's so much more to a company's culture that we need to get out there so we can foster these connections, celebrate the impact, and then attract these talent to us.
Let me just interject here. It's not only the culture in the company, but it's the culture of our industry. I mean, there's a very real perception that people have about what it's like to get a call from a debt collector or a debt collection agency and what happens there. So not only do you need to sell them on the culture in the company, but they have to understand the true culture of the professionalism of what we do. You know, we're about out of time today, and I'd like to just pose one other question to you, Courtney, given your experience. I've often heard people comment, and it's kind of a cliche out there that says that people do not leave their job, but they rather leave their bosses. What does that mean to you? When we talk about retention, what does that cliche mean to you?
Oh, yeah. So this phrase hits home, not because I personally have been in this setting, but because I hear it quite often with candidates. I'm involved in recruiting and onboarding, and I hear this where their leaders are not empathetic due to their life situation. These individuals feel that they're just an anonymous worker and they're being pushed to hit their numbers. So on our end, it's really, when you think about that people don't leave their job, they leave their bosses, it goes back to a people before profit. You want to treat others, that golden rule, treat others how you would like to be treated, making no distinction. They're your team member, there's someone you're talking with who owes and you're trying to work out a payment plan. There's a difference between talking with someone and being empathetic and then also treating them as far as that's just your job. You touched on a great point dealing with our industry has that stereotype, and when you work at a debt collection agency, there is this culture, there is this view that we are helping people. We are talking with these people, working towards resolutions, and that's really what we come down to. We're treating these people as people before profit.
I know that any of our listeners will find some real value in your comments. You have some great experience and some great perspectives on finding people, training people, and retaining people within your company. And I'd like to remind everybody that ACA offers a wide range of educational programs. So I'd urge you to go to our website, www.acainternational.org, and check out the many programs that we offer throughout the year. I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and like to turn things back over to our host, Kim, today.
Well, thank you so much, Harry and Courtney. That was very interesting information. So this concludes today's podcast. And just to inform you, ACA's podcasts are available on our website or wherever you download your podcasts. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.